Okay, so this is my fear and threats. My name is Kitaman Perrin. This is my fear and threat photo exhibit. For exhibit A, my topic was the suppression of the East German rising in 1953, uprising in 1953. So photo one here shows the initial strike in June 16th, when protesters started marching through the streets with banners and signs saying that they were protesting the work conditions. Since most of these protesters were workers, and they were forced to work higher quotas for the exact same pay grade. So they found this unfair and were protesting. And leaders like Albrecht claimed that Albrecht was the East German leader at the time, communist leader. So he claimed that and some other Soviet leaders as well claimed that this was caused by outside capitalist interference in in East Germany. So they used this fear to just to give reasoning for the refusal to negotiate for the strict control. So this image shows how the the fear dominated their government action. Photo two is photo two shows the uprising with many more people and a large crowd with many more people, and they all look very determined with their in their faces. So this showed growing protest power, and this scared authorities even more, and they blamed this unrest on the Western attempts to get rid of communism. So they used the size of the protest to justify their their use of military suppression, military repression, and yeah. So photo three shows Soviet tanks being deployed in soon after the soon after the previous picture in early June 17th. So you can see this picture that a Soviet tank is parked on a city street with soldiers around it in the vicinity, and there are people around the tank as well watching. So these Soviet tanks signaled the start of the military intervention, and the government claimed that they needed this military intervention to stop um, capitalist aggression or capitalist interference. So this photo shows the use of military force as self-defense. So they justified the use of military force as self-defense against threats from the outside, which in this case was capitalism from the U.S. and Britain. And these tanks here are proof of their fear, of their decisions that are driven by fear. Photo 4 shows when martial law was first declared, and it shows Soviet tanks moving through the city streets, and it showed how the military took control after military intervention started. So the military, so no, so the officials said that the martial law was basically that normal laws were suspended, and then mostly everything was driven by military decisions. So it was officials said that this was essential to prevent the chaos that was caused by capitalism and the protesters, um, and the visibility of soldiers show the shows like fear shaping leadership choices. Photo 5 is violent suppression. Is when violent suppression first actually started, and it shows lots of chaos, people running around, and it looks very dangerous. You can see tanks shooting and people running around, smoke, and the use of violence toward these people. So leaders said that this violence was necessary to save communism from like the Western disruption. So this photo captures how like the fear justified repression rather than punishment. Yeah, and finally the final last photo shows a young man on trial during the mass arrests that happened during June 18th to 21st in 1953, and it showed um, officials questioning them as part of the like crackdown of the uprising, and thousands were arrested from the collaborators with the West, and the government claimed that these arrests um, protected communism from destruction. So they claimed it was all necessary. Okay, starting with Exhibit B. For Exhibit B, my topic was General MacArthur's advance into North Korea during 1950, and yeah, okay. So sorry, photo one shows North Korean soldiers um, marching and crossing past the 38th parallel during the early parts of the invasion when North Korea first invaded South Korea. So Western leaders used images like these to justify that the whole Korean War was just a defense of democracy, and this photo reflects that the Cold War, the Cold War, it reflects that the Cold War's fear of expansion shaped what the action that they would take. So photo two shows the UN or the U.S. landing at Incheon in September 1950, and you can see MacArthur and some other officials using binoculars and like planning their attack their surprise attack on Incheon that would help the UN forces push North Korea back. So the leaders promoted this preparation as like unnecessary action that would stop communism. Like this was justified by the constant spread of communism, which in this case was from North Korea to South Korea, and the image demonstrates that this demonstrates that the fear of communism forces taking over, um, like force or sorry, my mind just blinked. It forced like these. It forced them to push forward and take action. Photo three shows the liberation is after the Third Battle of Seoul. After they finally captured Seoul, after UN forces finally captured Seoul, it shows the aftermath of Seoul, which looks like a very damaged city in the picture, and you can see the UN troops are leading like surrendered North Korean soldiers around, which are the people with their hands up in the picture. So these UN troops captured North Koreans, and their victory was used to prove the strength of capitalism. So yeah, and it shows the idea that military force um, did work into defense of capitalism, and it also worked into their goal of active containment. Photo 5 shows a picture of UN soldiers advancing and crossing past the 38th parallel, and after like yeah, and they're taking action after they were meant not to. So like they pushing North Koreans back even more than they were supposed to. So this was justified as they needed to prevent further communist growth, and it would also help their active goal of containment. So it shows how fear pushed policy beyond it pushed policy away beyond defense into into containment. And photo 5 shows after they captured Pyongyang, it shows UN forces with vehicles securing the place. This is soon after, in October 1950, soon after the capture of Pyongyang. And Pyongyang is North Korean capital. So UN forces, so the Western powers showed this was like proof that communism could be stopped. So yeah, it showed that communism could be stopped, and then this containment was working well. And but this photo also served as warnings. It served as like signals that there was rising tensions with China. In the final photo, it shows Chinese intervention at the Yalu River. So Chinese troops crossed the so it shows Chinese troops crossing the Yalu River into Korea, and they're entering the war and about to launch a massive counterattack. So both sides, like communists and capitalists, they both used images like this to justify escalation as defense. So this shows the larger theme of fear driving military build-up and like conflict. And that's my fear and threat photo exhibit. Thank you.